Welcome back to Primary Teaching with Dom. Welcome back to Primary Teaching with Dom. Thank you very much for continuing to watch my videos. I'm doing amazing progress. I say it all the time, but I'm just very grateful. So let's get on to the video at hand. And today we're going to talk about the truth behind teaching and why are so many people dropping out. Let's get on with the video. So recently I've been reading an article where they talk about the teacher crisis, and they say, oh my goodness me, there's so many more children but there's not enough teachers within schools to actually teach these children. Now, is majority of the time is more worse in secondary schools now than it is in primary schools, but in essence there is still a teacher crisis, if you want to call it that, within primary as well. So this is what I want to discuss, the reasons on why, and my personal opinion, and some facts. So it looks like I have actually really studied this, which I have, I promise. Published in an article which is quite interesting. They said that to fill a quota, they have to fill a quota every single year when it comes to teachers, because they need a certain amount of teachers to go in school, because quite a lot of people are dropping out. So within primary education, they're looking around at 12,121 trainees are kind of required to get into teaching, like per year. So let's say this year, off that they filled spaces up to 12,900 or so. So it did fill quite a lot. However, the term crisis in teaching in primary, if we're filling up so many spaces and we are maxing over the point what they need, how comes we are still lacking teachers in primary? We'll get onto that in a second. But secondary is the biggest one. They've only filled 86% of their quota. Even lying to you, it's actually 80% of their quota. I don't know the exact figures, but at least 20% of teachers not filling up the spaces that are needed in secondary education. And you gotta think, why is that? I've looked at a couple of different articles and I've actually come to some sort of conclusion, some sort of evidence to suggest why we're lacking teachers generally in schools. I'm not now just talking specifically to secondary. So the first problem that I found that is workload. Now, as teachers, sorry, every single time I make a video there's always some sort of noise because my window's always open. It happens. So let's get back. Workload. Now, as a PGC student, as a schools direct student, as a student or a teacher, you know that there's quite a lot of workload in general. If you're not within the teaching profession, there is quite a lot of workload. You've got to give children homework, which is one workload. You've got to actually you've got to make sure that children are catered for, so differentiating tasks, that's another workload. Not just homework or differentiation, but also lesson planning is a huge key. When you lesson plan, you might have to annotate, that's another workload on top. Giving work to children who might need interventions, that's another work on top. Making sure that you're showing progression with the children, so you have to show evidence to prove that this child is progressing, and if they're not, you might need to fill out another form that will show their weekly or monthly interventions that they will take to get to that point. SEN, EAL, there's so many different things that as teachers we need to do on top of catering to the parents if they need any help. And how could I forget marking? Marking is huge. If you are doing history one day, maths, English and science in one day, and phonics, you might need to actually mark those books so the children can get it for the next day, and that's a huge workload on all those things. A teacher needs to do weekly, and changing their classroom to suit the needs of children. That is a lot, and it's becoming increasingly harder as well. And that is also moving towards TAs, which is another video I'm going to be doing. That TAs are also having to brunt some of the workload that teachers are facing. There are so many things that teachers need to do, and with little help, and because of the increase of children and class sizes ever expanding, and EEL children, SEN children, and just children of various different backgrounds coming in, we as teachers need to think of so many different things to do within a short period of time. So that is one of the main reasons why there's a teacher crisis, and why so many teachers are just finding it too hard to do. 2, pay. Now, pay, this is another video I'm gonna be getting more into, but pay freezes, which you probably seen on the news, where teachers are doing campaigns and strikes, and it's mostly because of pay, because we as some teachers may feel that because they're increasing workload, they feel that their pay must amplify, must connect to the workload that they do, which is actually quite important. As with any job, you feel that all the hard work you put in, you should be rewarded well enough to continue to do that job. And I understand that is increasingly hard, and with many freezes, some teachers just at their wits' end and just having enough and feel, I am not going to go there anymore. Teaching in itself is a hard job regardless. You've got to be aware of children's needs. You're very much accountable for 30 from 20, however large your class size. I mean, my one, I generally have 30 children, so I'm speaking from my viewpoint, that I've got to be in control of 30 children and in charge of their learning, their happiness, because majority of the time children are with you. Just being aware of that, and it's a growing pressure. And I know as a PGCE student, the pressure for me to do what I do already, I'm not yet a fully qualified teacher. I can only imagine the stress and the workload that teachers have to face generally. So how can we improve? Well, personally for me, what I've been looking at is all the things I've mentioned is to increase pay. Of course, that is a lovely thing to do, but that's quite hard to do. Decreasing workload, so giving teachers the opportunity to have new policies where they don't have to do as much work as they do now. As teachers, we do have a lot of work to do in general, but every single year or every single time there's something new the government has put out that we need to do as teachers, and it's increasingly hard to fit that into a 9-hour day without taking it home and doing it for an extra 4 hours. So just having new policies where we're more guided through and more helped, because we do have a big job to do, which is to secure the future of these children and to make sure that they progress. And as teachers, we want to progress further, and that is a heavy load to take. But as teachers, we love the profession so much that we're willing to take the extra step to help the children. Now, don't get me wrong, personally for me, I'm not complaining that, oh, we get work too hard. I'm not complaining about that. It's just that I see teachers doing a hard and incredible job, but not being rewarded for that and not being rewarded for that in the way that they deserve. So I truly believe that, especially with the budget cuts and everything, that we need to, this would be a look into education and to establish the reasons why there's so many cuts in education when it's fundamentally important. There needs to be more money pushed into education so that our TAs are not taken away, so that we have more resources in school, and that teachers are more supported within schools. And I think when we get that motion inside and when that's addressed, I really do think that the teacher profession won't have this teacher crisis, and people will be more, and I don't even mean teachers, I mean potential teachers who want to get into training will be more happy and willing to get onto the course to do teaching. But because of all the negative stigmas around it, I truly don't believe at this moment that it will be any better until those things that I mentioned get improved. So anyway, thank you for listening to that. I always say all my videos when I talk that they're mumbo jumbo, and yes, there's all over the place. And I'm not talking from an expert point of view. However, I'm talking about my point of view. And yes, there's so many different suggestions and explanations to uncover the reasons why there is a teacher crisis. As they headline it in quite a lot of newspapers and articles. But hey, we all have differences of opinion. So if you have a opinion about it, which I'm sure you do, you do, leave them in the description below, and I'll be glad to actually comment back and we can have a discussion about it. But thank you for watching. please subscribe up here and watch my 2 previous videos down here. And I really do hope you have a great day, and I'm going to have a great day myself. Until then, bye.